Hey everybody, good afternoon. It's Friday, May 15th. I'm Hank Linderman. I'm running for Congress here in Kentucky's 2nd District. Um, you're getting a look at Falls of Rough at Rough River. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. A little bit overcast. We had some rain, but just a gorgeous day and wonderful time to be alive in spite of all we're going through with the virus. So I'm very glad you're here. Haven't gotten my first message yet. Already, I'm really not happy with what the wind is doing to my hair. This is my coronavirus haircut. Oh dear. Well, anyway, hi to you all. Hopefully you're hearing me. And so somebody sent me, Mary Richardson made it. Hi Mary, how are you? So glad you're here. So much to talk to you about. In fact, let's get rid of this irritating sign. But yes, I'm running for Congress here in Kentucky's 2nd District. And one of the things that goes on when you're running for Congress, you're always hoping for someone to care enough to send you a check. And someone sent $100 today, and that came in through our Act Blue account, which you can find at our website, and that's hankforkentucky.com. And some of you that show up, some have sent checks. And by the way, those of you that are tuning in from other countries, you're not allowed to contribute. But you can encourage any friends you have who are American citizens. They're allowed to contribute. One way, I always show this to everybody just for the fun of it. It would be fun to have somebody with a Venmo account send $1. That would be great. As you know, I've been endorsed by Indivisible, and I'm working on another endorsement. I've also been endorsed by the Greater Louisville Labor Council and the AFL-CIO. I'm very proud of that. Anyway, it really brightens up my day when I get up and there's a contribution for $100. That's a big deal. So any of you that can afford to contribute, I really appreciate it. Every dollar helps. And, we're never going to compete with the millions and millions of dollars that our competitor has, but we can. I promise you that I'll be very careful with the money. My mom had a saying that, she was so cheap, she threw manhole covers or quarters around like manhole covers, was the saying about her. So I'm pretty tight. Let's get to what's going on today. And one thing I'm going to say, it's Friday, so after today, I'm off work. And I get to fill my wine glass. I was very tempted to fill it before starting this, but I don't want you all to get the wrong idea. And maybe 3:30 in the afternoon is a little too soon. Anyway, so let's get to, I'm going to keep the wine glass in sight. Can you all even see it? I don't know if you can. Let me get it so that you all can see it. But anytime I'm around, it's here. And it's going to be filled a little bit later on. All right, so let's talk about this week. So first of all, let's look at our numbers. We once again, yesterday, and again, these are the numbers from yesterday, so this is the 14th, another 1,700 deaths, which is tragic. We're approaching, I get these folks who post on my website things like Trump 2020, and we're approaching 2,020 deaths a day with President Trump as president. He really has no idea what he's doing. We are suffering because we just don't have a plan. We talked about that yesterday. Let's look at Kentucky. Kentucky had a very low reported amount of deaths yesterday, only 2. Tragic, of course, for that family, and 145 new cases. So Kentucky continues to apparently do a good job. Thank you, Governor Andy Beshear, and thank you, Kentucky, for doing the right thing. There's a fairly conservative FM station in Litchfield, and so when I drive through Litchfield, I'm listening to it, and they're very conservative. And I'll tell you what, I was listening on the Tuesday when Georgia was getting ready to open the not massage parlors. I keep saying that. I haven't been to a tattoo parlor or a massage parlor ever. So I walked into a tattoo parlor to ask them if they'd vote for me, and they said, well, maybe not. Anyway, when Georgia was getting ready to open all these essential businesses like bowling alleys and tattoo parlors, I was listening to the station, I think it's 105 in Litchfield, Kentucky, and even there, very conservative that they are, they lean very right. They were kind of, I don't know about this. And the next day, of course, President Trump said, slow down. But those days are gone. This is a brand new headline today for, this is a brand new story, and it's on the Washington Post. The White House and the CDC, they're not able to do a good job. You think that if you have a president who butts in all the time and doesn't trust his experts, you think we might have trouble. So that's going on. By the way, back to those numbers real quickly. As always, the caveat is we don't trust any of the numbers. We really want to see them over a long period of time. The big news also is about the Trump campaign. Now, have you heard of Brad Parscale? Remember a few weeks ago, President Trump threatened to sue him, and because he wasn't happy with what Parscale was doing. Hi, Amy. How are you? Good to see you. I'm glad you're here. I have friends from all over the country, all over the world who are chiming in, and I'm really glad to see you all. Anyway, Brad Parscale is the head of the Trump campaign, and he's in charge of the digital operation. They're saying it's going to be a Death Star, and they released some sort of video of the Death Star, gathering the lasers, getting ready. I don't know if that was the wisest choice, because what I remember is the Death Star gets blown up every time the Death Star gets blown up. So this is a detailed story, again, from the Bulwark, and I do suggest, even if you're progressive or liberal, that you sign up for the Bulwark, because they are very conservative, but they won't call you names, and they do a good job. They are a lot of conservative types that are not necessarily in favor of Donald Trump. So here's some of the text from this. His super sophisticated digital operation. So the key comment here is that Brad Parscale has a very keen interest in making sure that the operation is portrayed as a gigantic, all-powerful black box that only he knows how to operate. That's how Brad Parscale keeps his job. And you remember in 2016, the point here is that Trump just went through campaign managers all the time because he felt that the campaign was him. So it's interesting that he's focused so much on Brad Parscale's campaign. And some of this Bulwark article kind of takes it apart, because it's based on the idea, how many of you take the recommendation when you watch a Netflix movie? How often do you watch the movie that they suggest? Not very often for me. Or do you care when people also bought this at Amazon? I don't know that that's very sophisticated yet, that they are able to give helpful suggestions. So let's see if this is the question. This question was actually on one of the questionnaires they sent out. Do you credit President Trump for the rampant job creation and record low unemployment? Do we credit him for the 40% almost unemployment that we have in Kentucky? Yeah, we do, because he's failed at dealing with the pandemic, and we all know this. The line I like on this page is, it's a good reminder that inside every con man is a mark. And it sounds like the thing they're presenting here is that Brad Parscale is playing President Trump, and that's music to my ears, because we really need to move this guy out of the office. Very interesting story. Someone has hit the law firm that handles a bunch of mostly celebrity clients. I'm not sure they've actually done work specifically for Donald Trump, but they have gotten a hold of this law firm's all of their digital records, and they've encrypted or deleted all of their backups, so they can't get to their backups, and they've asked them for $21 million. What's very interesting in this is they now today have doubled the amount of money they want. They want $42 million. They got a week. The next person we're going to publish about is Donald Trump. There's an election going on. We found a ton of dirty laundry. And so that's very interesting. And they're saying, Mr. Trump, if you want to stay president, you better poke this guy and get him to cough up the money. Grubman, we will destroy your company down to the ground if we don't see the money. Well, isn't that nice? That can happen to anybody. Of course, that's a crime. And people who do that are asking for a little bit of attention, maybe from the FBI or the CIA or any number of other groups that might want to talk to you. So I don't recommend this. Don't try it at home. Another headline, Frank Rich says, Obamagate means that Trump is desperate. He's desperate to be able to change the subject from his handling of the coronavirus, and he's desperate to change the subject from how well Joe Biden is apparently doing. Now, I want to say something to you all. Joe Biden was not my first choice, and it's no longer a secret. I contributed money to Bernie Sanders. He was the candidate I wanted. In fact, a lot of the things that the programs that I favor are Bernie Sanders programs, and I think those are now becoming mainstream Democratic things. So Joe Biden was not my first choice, and honestly, I wasn't thrilled with his. He was very slow in responding to the sexual assault allegations. He finally did it. I think his campaign's going to have to work a little bit more quickly. President Trump will tweet up to 30 times a day, and he's the one doing it. So he's really got, he responds very, very quickly, and he's able to change the subject. Well, that's what Obamagate is about. And you'll recall that when the reporter asked him, well, what's the crime? Well, he said, it's in plain sight. Everyone can see it except you because of your fake news. She said, no, seriously, what's the crime? And he couldn't answer. And I guess to all of you, if President Obama interfered with an investigation or encouraged an investigation of Trump based on connections to Russia that they knew were not true, if that's what happened, by the way, that's a big boat going by. We have lots of boats on the river that show up that are very loud, where people need attention. Anyway, if President Obama did something that would be illegal, asking for an investigation for political purposes, by all means, charge him, investigate him. But there's no such thing. So the Obamagate thing is starting to settle down, and I don't think the Senate has already said they're not going to deal with this. So it's nothing really to worry about. And when your conservative friends bring up Obamagate, the thing to say to them is, the guy who's going to wind up in prison is Trump if he's not careful. You'll remember this week, on Facebook, I called for President Trump to resign and make a deal. That President Pence, once he's sworn in, once Donald Trump leaves, then President Pence will pardon him and all of his cronies from federal prosecution. Well, very interesting. Joe Biden got asked, would you pardon President Trump? And he said no. He promised he would not. And that was yesterday, he said that. So that is fantastic news that he's not going to pardon him. Here's some of the text from it. And he basically said, this is the prostitution of an office of the Justice Department. Now, Politico weighed on this as well, and they got tougher about it. They focused on the prostitution angle. So you'll have fun reading these if you're interested to. But he said, absolutely, yes, I commit. It's hands off completely. The Attorney General of the United States is not the president's lawyer, it's the people's lawyer. And I will not pull a President Ford. I will not pardon Trump under the pretense of healing the nation. So President Trump, think again. You're going to wind up in an orange jumpsuit. You really need to consider this. One of the things that's always on the table whenever we have some sort of crisis, Republicans especially try to overhaul Social Security. They really want to get their hands on that money for their contributors. So there's been plans to privatize Social Security. President Bush, the younger, tried to do this right as the stock market started to melt down. That all kind of went away. So Democrats are scrutinizing a State Department. What's the State Department going to do for Social Security? I just don't know. I don't know why the State Department would have anything to do with this. Hi, Dennis. I'm glad you made it. We've been talking about a lot of stuff. Since Dennis is here, I'm going to show him my wine glass, which will be filled soon. It's Friday. And by the way, folks, I'm going to skip doing these on Saturday and Sunday. I need a break. I need a little bit of time off, and so do you. So this is the last one this week. I'm kind of casual. I'm planning on my glass of wine here as the sun gets a little lower in the sky. So Social Security, we've seen that the neoliberal types are always trying to take down Social Security. And so what their plan is, the State Department is planning to offer you $10,000 up front right now to help you get through the virus in exchange for, you have to give up your Social Security. Now, the amount of money they're talking about, the $10,000, is a total ripoff, because if you stay in Social Security, you'll receive substantially more than the $10,000 they're trying to buy you off. Mary Richardson is recommending Pinot. I'm with you. Sounds good. Here's a letter, and as you know, I always like reading the letters. And this one you'll have to look at pretty closely. I don't know if we can see this person. $10,000 to sell your rights to Social Security, and the State Department's doing it, not the Social Security Administration, which is under Health and Human Services. If you live retired 66, you live 20 more years, you'll get $360,000 at $18,000 a year, the average, right? Well, $10,000 up front to give that up, yeah, that's a pretty good deal. Don't do it. Don't give up your Social Security. This one's dead in the water, but it just shows you how focused Republicans are on getting rid of Social Security. Here's kind of a sad story. This is from a young woman who's on the editorial board at the Washington Post. Young, very healthy people are getting very, very sick from the disease, and it's an interesting story. She's a runner. She had run 3 miles and walked another 10 the day before she got sick. And when she was wound up in the hospital, the doctor said to her, "I wish there was something I could do for you." Here's the letter from someone, and this is the best letter of the day, from Robin in New Zealand. "Thank you for this article. Unfortunately for you and your fellow citizens, you don't have a healthcare system at all. This is great. You have a broken financial system that delivers some healthcare to some people some of the time. My country's emerging from lockdown as of yesterday. We've had 21 deaths on a per capita basis. If we had replicated the U.S. death rate, we'd have over 1,200 deaths. By the way, New Zealand's about this population-wise, a little bit bigger than Kentucky. There's some similarity with them. To those of you who want to liberate your states, go right ahead and exercise your constitutional rights to die earlier than you otherwise might. Hope you don't take too many other people with you who wanted to stay." So that's that. I'm going to go back up here. So anyway, I'm about done for today. Thank you all for being here. As always, it helps if you can share this with your friends. It helps if you can send a little bit of money, provided it's legal for you to do so. We only want some legal contributions. I really enjoy the opportunity that this gives me to kind of practice my skills and get comfortable with doing this, talking to a camera and talking to a microphone. And I really appreciate you all tuning in all the time. This is a very difficult time for our nation, and there are times when I get so upset that it's hard to get up in the morning, But as someone said to me the other day, the changes we are talking about are already in process. They're already coming. The generations behind us, this is what they want. And so these changes are coming. I hope that I'm alive to see it, but I know in my heart that these changes are coming. And I hope you do too. And I hope you can keep enough faith with yourself that you don't get too far down in the dumps. And if you do get down in the dumps, take a few days off, go easy on yourselves. Because I love you, and I'm counting on you, and I will see you next week. I'll be back Monday. I'm going to skip tomorrow. And thank you all for being here. Let's have a nice look at the lakefront, and I'm going to say goodbye. Take care of yourselves. Bye.